first exercises is an eccentric calf raise. And so with that, we can do that calf raise here on the floor, where we're going to slowly lower to the ground. So we come up, and then the eccentric version is as we're lengthening the calf muscle, the gastrocnemius and the soleus. Done on a deficit would look like this. So we would come right up and then slowly lower down, and you can hold on to things, holding on to the rig or the rack or the wall even, depending on your balance, or using a stick like this. Another option too is to put a tennis ball in between your heels, and what that does is it just really activates the muscles, because not only are we now focusing on the eccentric lower, we're actually focusing on keeping them, keeping the heels together as well, which helps to strengthen those muscles in the posterior leg even more. Another exercise would be step-ups, and we can do step-ups that are side step-ups, and obviously this is a very low step, but we can increase that step as we feel more comfortable. So side step-ups, like so, or forward step-ups, and these can help strengthen the glutes, the calves, and that whole posterior chain that we're looking for. Other drills that we're looking for are balance drills and single leg work. So we can do some balance work here using a pole for a little bit of extra stability, and then obviously when we feel more comfortable, we can bring the pole up off the ground. Also doing some single leg hops. So just working on that foot placement, making sure that we're not dropping through the arch. We want to really be gripping onto the floor, feet, toes, gripping into the ground, and we're really trying to maximize the arch in the foot. Another cue that I usually give clients is to switch on their bottom by just creating a small little bit of torque within the hip, and then that can create some more stability in that position there. Another really popular netball exercise is a jump land. So exercises such as this, jumping and landing. Again, we want to think about the knees tracking over the toes, not collapsing in. So a couple faults here would be letting the knees collapse in. And even when we're doing our box jumps, the same thing. We want to make sure that we're going to hop and land strong. So jump and land. And just practicing this in the spot. We could also do some broad jumps as well. Side shuffles or monster walk. This is another one. You can place a band around the knees. So the band would come around here. We're going to keep that pressure going out on the band, and we're just going to walk, trying not to allow the arch to cave into the knees to come in as well. We really want to start to work that glute med, glute max, and then switch on that whole posterior chain. Another exercise would be a lateral lunge, or like a Cossack squat. So that's where we're going to sink into one side and then sinking into the other. So working on those unilateral movements during our strength pieces. So that from the side, that's like so. And again, we can use props for this movement, things like this, just to help us in our movements so that we're moving really well. You can stay on one side as well and then go to the other. Some core work, so we've got planks, bird dogs, and rotational core work. So in our plank position, we can adopt our classic plank here, and we're going to think about holding those ribs in tight, so we're really focusing on the core, squeezing the bottom, and getting a nice strong plank here. Another option is to do it like so. A bird dog, we want to be on all fours. I call this the tabletop position. We're in a tabletop, and we're going to lift the opposite leg, opposite arm, and try to maintain that core stability. A couple faults here tend to be a shift in the pelvis, or lots of instability. So even if we do small lifts, so I'm going to shift my weight and then lift So very small movements here. That can really help. With core and rotation, a lot of people like to do the Russian twist. I just like to think about the Russian twist as coming, rolling back onto the back of the sits bones and just a small shift. And we could hold something, a little bit of weight, but we just don't want to be flopping around. Just thinking about here, I'm here, and then I'm going to move here, back to the center, to this side. So small rotational movements through the core. We also have a glute bridge. So this is a popular movement as well. And here we can come up and squeeze the bottom, pushing the big toe down, and then lower. So up, squeeze, and down. Now this is a closed chain exercise. With MTSS, we want to think about doing some open chain exercises as well, such as the leg extension machine, where we sit down. I don't have one in this gym, but with the leg extension, you would be sitting in the machine, you've got your weights, and we can do this movement here. So this is an open chain exercise. So I'll have the weights across the front, and I can also do single leg. And so if I turn my leg out slightly, I'm now just working a different angle. So doing that movement there. Another open chain movement would be the tibialis anterior movement. So here, this is where we can do this movement here. We put a little bit of a weight on there, and I'm working that tib anterior, and it's open chain because it's not connected to any fixed point. So now I'm working that tibialis anterior. Another open chain movement would be if you were lying in a prone position doing your hamstring curls. And that can be even done demoed on the floor here. So if I had a band around my ankles, I could even do this movement here, and it's a hamstring curl, open chain. In terms of stretching movements, a popular one is to do a classic forward fold. So we're right up on our sits bones and we're just folding forward. We can also do a pancake where the legs are out, and we can stretch to the front, to the side, and even a mix of all of these, just moving through this movement here. Also giving the hips a little bit of a stretch by doing a 90-90. These are always really nice stretches as well, and they don't go unutilized, because the more we can stretch through the hips and the lower back and that whole posterior chain, the better. We can also do the knee to wall stretch, so pretending that this is a wall. What I would do is bring my toe close to the wall, holding onto the wall, and I'm just going to try to touch my knee to the wall, and then moving further and further. And trying to move my foot out to get more dorsiflexion there. So that's a nice stretch for the calf. I've also got the foam roller. It's just a small one here, but the foam roller is a great thing to do. I call it the TV or the scrolling. You can sit and foam roll the calves, giving them a little bit of attention, going around and around, and then moving up to the hamstrings. And this is kind of just a nice thing that people can do when they're watching TV. So I always try to layer it in with other things that they're doing. And so all of these exercises that I've shown you, combined with your normal strength training, such as all of your closed chain strength training, like your squats and lunges and those types of movements, will all help to contribute to a stronger lower body, helping to alleviate the symptoms of MTSS.